A brutal attack during spring break has been left unsolved for 20 years. Amy Gellert was murdered in 1994.
And now investigators and 48 Hours are asking the public for help to crack this case. We're joined now by 48 Hours executive producer Susan Zirinsky. So taking a different approach to this, Susan.
We are. You know, so often we do cases that are solved, even cold cases that are solved. But we tried to do something that was a bit different. We have found that oftentimes when we do a story, people come forward, people notice clues, even just armchair detectives. And the fact that we're on social networking now creates just a wide palette upon which we can kind of send the message out. This case isn't solved. So we're kind of trying something. It could develop into its own franchise, we hope. And we're copying to the fact this isn't solved. Tonight, the audience could help solve this case. And this is the case of Amy Gellert. Let's take a look at the clip.
The Gellert case is one that's kind of haunted us for 20 years now. The biggest problem I think we have is really trying to figure out why it happened.
On the evening of March 20th, 1994, Bunny and Bob Layton returned from church to find a masked intruder in their Cocoa Beach, Florida home.
Basically, we had to crawl through here on our hands and knees, and he took us to this area right here. Something switched in him. He just lost it. And he starts stabbing me in my neck. And it's going in so deep, I can feel the bones crunching.
Miraculously, they both survived. But Bunny's 21-year-old daughter, Amy, who happened to come home during the attack, did not. Amy's brother, Ryan Gellert.
My first thought was I just couldn't believe it. It just didn't make sense.
It's hard to think about her, isn't it? For the family, it's all the more painful because this more than 20-year-old cold case has never been solved. But this team of investigators in the Brevard County Sheriff's Office is determined to catch the killer, or killers who got away.
I think it's solvable. It's going to take the right piece of evidence and the right person to be willing to talk about it.
What investigators do know is that the intruder was armed with unusual weapons. The gun was later identified as a prop weapon used in the theater and movies. The knife was actually a dagger that looked something like this, with an ornate hilt.
And have you ever been able to find one that seemed to match?
Not with the hilt. Not with the hilt like that, no.
And investigators agree all the evidence points to a targeted attack.
The consensus tends to be that Amy's the catalyst. There's something there with Amy that probably caused this to happen.
Although the Laytons couldn't identify their masked assailant,
he was Caucasian. I think I picked that up on the contrast between the ski mask and his eyes.
Over the years, many suspects have surfaced.
Most cases, you may have one primary suspect, maybe a couple peripheral suspects, but in this one, there's many possibilities.
Bunny Layton has faith that after all these years, someone will come forward with evidence, and she will finally get justice for her daughter.
I think that people are holding on to information. They don't think it's significant, but it is. It means everything to us. Amy means everything to us.
So Z, you're asking for the public's help. Any idea who did it?
There are a list of suspects. We talked about some of them. We have a pretty good idea, but we don't really have, the cops don't have the goods. We don't want to do the cops' business for them, but they've welcomed us into this investigation because it is about somebody knowing something. It's like the mom said, somebody's holding on to a piece of information they think may not be important, and it truthfully may be that critical clue that helps break this case. They say it's solvable. They just have to have somebody come forward.
Can we mention something about the murder weapon and the significance of that?
There were two things that happened. There was a gun, which ended up being a prop gun in the theater, but the knife used had a very interesting hilt, a word I've now learned, which is kind of just the base of the gun, the base of the knife. So that's why we have these clues in the show with tip lines all through the show. We're really trying something that it has a lot of outreach, and we're hoping social network will really spread the word, and we'll let you know. I'll be the first one back on Friday to tell you. But I will tell you this, we have already had an enormous amount of tips, as have the police in Broward County. It's Cocoa Beach is where this crime took place, and they've already started to man their phones 24 hours.
Wow.